Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Weeknights with Wonder Girls. I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Mabel. TGIF, everyone. Do you all miss us from the break we took last week? We are happy to be back live. This evening, Cheryl and I will be sharing 3 trips that we have taken on each, and why these trips have left such a deep impression for us and we feel that everybody needs to experience it for themselves because it embodies what an active leisure holiday is all about.
Before we start, allow me to share a little bit about ourselves if you are new to Travel Wonder. So for those who have heard this upbeat times, maybe you take this 1 minute to go to the washroom. Travel Wonder is a licensed online and offline travel company based in Singapore. We specialize in active holidays. Join us in the future if you are looking for cycling, hiking, or running holidays overseas. We are also good in bespoke travel. We can plan all sorts of vacations that you desire, such as romantic getaways, rest and relaxation trips, or even family fun trips, according to your requirement. Our website is www.travel-wonder.com. Remember to check us out when you are ready to travel.
Keep the engagement up and give us a like, share the video, and comment away. Here is the schedule for tonight. We'll try our very best to stick to the timings we set for ourselves. So, first thing first, we are going to touch on Gyeongju Cherry Blossom Marathon. Next at 8:50 p.m., we'll be touching on Chiang Rai Cycling. 9:10 p.m., we'll touch on Scenic Taiwan Cycling. 9:30 p.m. will be Fansipan Hike. 9:50 p.m. will be our Mongolia ride. And lastly, 10:10 p.m. will be South Korea Autumn Colors ride. We will have 15 minutes of talk time and 5 minutes of Q&A. So if some of the trips are not of your interest, you can jump in later and listen to those trips that are. Okay, so first up is Cheryl, who will be sharing about Gyeongju Cherry Blossom Marathon Run. Cheryl, over to you.
Okay, let me just bring up the slide. And then when it's ready, please let me know. Right. So once again, good evening, everybody, and welcome to our Weeknights with Wonder Girls. So this evening, it will be just me and Mabel, and we are going to share about active holidays features. Altogether, we are going to talk about six trips, but 5 destinations. Let me start with Gyeongju Cherry Blossom Marathon Runcation. This program is planned to be a 5-day trip. Why do I enjoy myself so much on this trip? Definitely the first one is cherry blossoms. Then the second one is the food. And my third reason is a balanced holiday that I really thoroughly enjoy. So now let's touch on the first reason, cherry blossoms. And I can tell you throughout the 5 days or probably 4 days, you will see so many cherry blossoms, and I've never really seen so much in my life. Okay, the highlight of this trip is definitely the Gyeongju Marathon, but don't be put off by the words marathon. As you can see from the screen here, there are actually 4 categories that you can take part on. So if you are not really a running person, you can always take part in the 5 kilometer or 10 kilometers and walk the course, because throughout the entire journey you will see lots and lots of cherry blossoms. So even for myself, I don't really run throughout the course. I took many pictures, which I'm going to show it to you later. So every registration, the participants will receive a team t-shirt, then your bib, and if you finish the run, or even I call it the walk, you will receive a medal. Now take a closer look at how the medals looks like. So you can see that the engraving on the medal is as what you see on the screen. This is the Gyeongju Marathon that I took part in 2019. Okay, one good thing about taking part in runs overseas is that they don't start as early as like in Singapore. For this Gyeongju Marathon, it starts at 8 a.m. So we still can wake up fairly, not so early, have a good breakfast at a hotel, and then we depart for the starting venue. So as you can see from the pictures here, this is at about 7:30 in the morning. So it's still a little bit chilly. So all of us are still in our windbreaker. Then you can see that is The sun has already rises. Then while we are waiting at the pen, you will have programs that keep us busy before the gun off. So they will have mascots going around to take pictures with the runners. Then you will have cultural performance, even K-pop performance going on while we are waiting in the pen for our run to take off. As you can see from the picture here, there are already a lot of cherry blossom trees lining up as we are in the pen. One thing good about all these community run is there are not a lot of runners. The maximum is only a few thousands, and the organizers are not very strict in policing how the run is going to start, or sort of, maybe I make myself clearer, as in while we are waiting inside the pen, you could have your family members to join you to help you to take photos before you start the run. If you have taken part in bigger runs in Singapore or maybe somewhere else, you realize that this is not possible. Okay, and then you don't have to wait very long to be gone off. As I mentioned earlier, there are not a lot of runners. Then finally, when the run started, you will not have to jostle space with a lot of people, as you can see from the pictures here. And throughout the entire run journey, you will just see lots and lots of cherry blossom trees. The experience is just amazing. And when you are going for such a run, do not expect to go for your personal best, because you will stop a lot of times along your running routes to take a lot of fabulous pictures and admire the trees. Just like this. Amazing. And something that is very interesting is if there are a particular nationality from overseas that took part, the organizer will put up the national flag of that participants. So along the way, we see a lot of flags hanging on lampposts of different nationalities. And then when I spotted the Singapore flag, I wanted to take a picture, but there is no wind. And along the way, there are also water stations that you can replenish for yourself. And then they also have a water sponge, which you can quickly squeeze off the water to wet yourself if the weather gets too hot. This don't really apply to us Singaporeans, because to us, the weather is just all right. But I see a lot of the Korean runners, they will just squeeze the sponge onto themselves, because maybe to them, this weather at about 20 degrees Celsius is considered warm. Then when you finish the run, you get back to the holding area, you will go and collect your medal, and every participant will be given a snack pack, because the organizer reckons that many people will be hungry after the run. So we are all given a pack that consists of a drink, a bun, and some biscuits. And most of the runners will not go back immediately when their run ended. Most of them will actually stay back, sit around in the holding area, and enjoy the lovely weather. You can see from the pictures here that some of them are still in their windbreaker. As I mentioned before, the temperature is about 20 degrees Celsius. So it's really a wonderful time to sit out there, to warm down, to chill down, and enjoy the fabulous weather. Very unlike Singapore, where after the run, everybody will quickly collect their stuff and then run indoors. So keeping the people busy, there are also cultural performance and K-pop performance at the bazaar area. And one of the best things that I found out from this run is that they don't really shoo you off or ask you to go away at the finishing line. You can stay as long as you want at the finishing line to take a lot of photos. Everybody will be doing that. And you can stay as long as you want. Nobody will come and ask you to move away. That is something that we really enjoy because in most of the run that I took part is you could barely take a good decent photo, not even a solo photo at the finishing line. And then there will also be makeshift bazaar where a lot of the vendors will come around and sell a lot of outdoor stuff. So even if you have forgotten to bring money or not enough money, it's okay because the organizer actually truck in the ATM machines. So even if you are a foreigner, we don't have to worry because the ATM is global. All cards accepted. Then after the run, we check in everybody into a local bar where we can relax, enjoy some sauna, have a good bath to wind down the day. So as the itinerary name suggests, it's all about cherry blossoms. And the Gyeongju Cherry Blossoms Run is also planned in conjunction with the Cherry Blossom Festival that took place annually in Jinhae. So naturally, we have to include this into the program. So at this place in Jinhae, we will go to 3 spots where you will see a lot of cherry blossoms. And then it's a photo galore. We took so much photos in these places that after 3 days of cherry blossom, we got a little bit tired of it. But now when I think back, as I was talking to Mabel earlier on, when we are preparing the slides, right, it brought back so much memories that the trip is so enjoyable. And one thing I would like to mention is, while we are staying in Gyeongju, our hotel is just by a lake with plenty of cherry blossom trees. So on the eve of the run, you can actually take a walk along the park in the evenings. There will be a lot of people there admiring the cherry blossom tree. We will be lit up with a lot of lights. Then also, you can do a test run or a warm-up run in the morning along the lake, Bomun Lake. Okay, this is good exercise for us because we are not used to the weather. So in order not to get yourself caught in the chill, it is good to go for a morning run to let your body adjust and accustom to the weather. But actually, run is secondary. The primary reason to go out so early in the morning is to take a lot of beautiful pictures around the lake, but without the crowds. So the second things that I love about this trip is the food. Lots and lots of fruit for every meal. And there is never once that the meals are repeated. One of the dish that I really, really enjoy is this pumpkin duck. Okay, so the restaurant owner put the duck into the pumpkin, fold it up and steam it. So when the food is ready, when the pumpkin is ready, it opens up. When you eat the duck, you have the essence of the pumpkin. And when you eat the pumpkin, it is laden with a lot of fantastic duck fats, which is so amazing. Thinking of it now, my saliva is drooling. So every meal will be different, as you can see from the pictures. And then we end off the trip with a seafood galore. And then the third reason is a balanced holiday. People may think that, wow, this is a running trip, it's a running holiday. But I am not really a runner. So I may also not want to take part in the walk or take part in any of the marathon activities at all. Probably this trip is not suitable for me. I beg to differ because marathons only take place half a day, whereas the rest of the trip we have planned it in such a way that you still will visit some of the basic sites in the itinerary, such as the Kamchong Cultural Village, which is known as the Machu Picchu of the East. Then also, you can have a spending spree at the Jagachi Market, which is the largest seafood wholesale market in Korea. Not forgetting, you will be able to spend some money on buying the seafood dried products on the second floor of the market. And all of us actually had a good time tasting, sampling the dry seafood, and as well as buying lots of stuff bags. Then also we will make a stop at the Kwangali Bridge. We will go in the evening and then wait for the sun to set so that the bridge that you see at the back will be totally lit up. The view is simply amazing. So when you are in Gyeongju, Gyeongju is the ancient capital city of Korea during the Silla dynasty back in the 12th or 13th century. So there are a lot of historical sites that are now being labeled as UNESCO Heritage Site. So we will make a visit to some of them, such as this astronomical tower, Chomsongdae. But the highlight here is there are a lot of flowers because this season is spring. So you can take a lot of photos, very nice pictures with the flowers. We will also make a visit up to the Gyeongju Tower, and then you have a very good view of the city of Gyeongju. Not forgetting to visit some of the UNESCO heritage sites, such as the Sokorum Grotto and the Bukaksa Temple. Then on this trip, we also added a light walk to wind off, to warm down the run. We take about a 3 to 4 kilometer walk along the Heparang Trail that is along the coast. You can see from the picture here that the walk is fairly easy and it is on well marked and bordered walkways. Nothing too technical, nothing too difficult. Everybody can do it. So that is about all about Gyeongju.
Very excited to share with everybody about my experience when I was cycling in Chiang Rai. So 3 reasons why I select this trip as one of my top favorite active holidays is because of the authentic local sites and experiences, the delicious authentic local meals, and the unique cafe stops. So for the first reason, the authentic local sites and experiences that we have, right? Because we are cycling and we are not only just covering the main town of Chiang Rai, so we actually went to a lot of off the beaten track places that majority of the tourists do not visit. Like this image that you see in the background is actually a Karen Hill tribe that we spotted located at the top of a very steep hill. So we parked our bikes at the bottom of the hill and we actually did a short hike up. Some of our cyclists who wanted a challenge actually attempted to ride up, so kudos to them. At the top, what we see is ladies from the Karen tribe peddling all the handicrafts that they have made. And here we have our cyclists having fun with the children's playground, having a take at the train swing, and they prove that having fun is ageless. And just to reassure our audience, I checked the swing after is still working fine for the children of the Karen tribe. We made a stop at a local hot spring, and this experience is really very unique because we don't really see it elsewhere. So when we were there, we were greeted with these ladies selling different baskets of eggs. So you can actually choose between chicken eggs, quail eggs, duck eggs. And you can see the price there is stated one basket for 20, three for 50. So normally, I mean, typically of us Singaporeans, right, got bargain, definitely we'll go for that. So we bought 3 baskets for 50 baht worth of chicken eggs, quail eggs, and duck eggs. So what we did is with this purchase, we actually put it into the hot onsen water. This temperature is ranging about 60 to 70 degrees. So we have to cook it for a longer duration, between 20 to half an hour. Even so, when we left it there, it will not be fully cooked like a hard-boiled egg. It will turn out to be somewhat between a soft-boiled and a hard-boiled egg. One of the experience we did on the trip was to visit Singha Park. So here we are taking the photo in front of the signature statue there. But what's unique about our visit is our cyclists got lots of time to take funny photos with the statues at the entrance of Singha Park. But the most enjoyable part of visiting the park was cycling through the vast land of Singha. They have designated cycling paths. So it's a huge area. If you were to walk, you will not be able to cover much. But on a bicycle, when we cycle in the cool morning weather, it really makes it so much enjoyable, and we covered so much more. Like we get to see this beautifully manicured land that at the back, when you see, is actually the tea plantation that they have in Singha Park. As we cycle, we saw even more beautiful views. And we were there at the right season. So that was where the flowers were just planted and were starting to bloom. So we are greeted with beautiful sights of flora. Part of the experience when we are there on the trip, we actually cycled through this small little off the beaten track dam. So this dam actually connects 2 different villages together. It's like a shortcut across. So what we did was, with our bicycle, we pushed it across the bridge. Of course, looking at the bridge, we have our hesitation to cross or not to cross because it doesn't look very safe. And then the planks, right, there's a lot of lobangs on the ground also. But then we were reassured when we saw the locals riding their motorbikes confidently across the bridge. So we are thinking, okay, if the motorbike and rain so much heavier can cross the bridge, right? So us with our bicycle should not be a problem lah. But of course, we have to make sure when we cross, we look out where we are so that we don't drop our foot down or drop our phone down. So when we were cycling in the village after we crossed the dam, we happened to pass by the local fresh food market. So we were very lucky that the market was open that weekend that we were there. And then who can resist buying fresh local fruits off the farmers directly? As you can see here in the picture, the market is really catered just for the locals. It's very rustic. So we are the only tourist group so-called there. So they were like eyeing us, wondering why are this group of cyclists who don't speak a single word of Thai appearing in the middle of their village that is in the middle of nowhere. And we came across this stomach churning site, which is a grilled rock. None of us dare to try it, of course. So another unique experience of this trip is actually we get to stay at this holiday resort that is well known only among the locals. This cute little resort has lots of cute little funky decorations, like our cyclists enjoying some time taking photos while I handle the check-in. And you can see the decoration of this whole resort is the Thais are known to design things very cutely, and then very vibrantly also, which makes you want to take picture everywhere you go. And this resort is surrounding the resort is beautiful mountain range with lots of paddy fields. So it's really by the countryside, very peaceful, very tranquil. This is the view from my room. So imagine waking up to this beautiful scenery every morning. Really brightens up your mood before you start the day. We visited the second tallest Qigong statue in the world. I mean, I never knew Chiang Rai has this. So that was and in all places, it was really off the grid in the village of Pan. So we visited this Chinese temple. We went to see the statue. It may not look very big here in photos, but in actual, the statue is almost 2 stories high. And it's so intricately made, you have to see it for yourself. It's also nice to spice things up once in a while. So we visit Doi Long National Park, where we did a short trek up to the first waterfall that we see, just to stretch our bones, stretch our legs and then stretch our bums because we have been sitting on the saddle for a long time. But what's nice is we were there on the weekend, but the national park is very quiet, very peaceful, and the weather is very nice and cooling because we were there in early December. So when we were hiking up, we didn't break a sweat. Another fantastic experience we had was this cycle up Doi Tong. So this mountain is very suitable for beginner cyclists who have never tried cycling up a mountain before, but they would like to challenge themselves. But everybody, if we see like Tour de France, we will be definitely intimidated by the steepness of the mountain. But this is very beginner friendly. So we took about 1.5 hours to cover 11 kilometers to reach almost to the summit of Doi Tong. So as you can see in this picture, it's really a ascent up all the way almost. Only at certain sections we have a little bit of breaks here and there with flat grounds, but it's very manageable. Most of us managed to do it, and what we did is anytime we just stop by the side of the road if we need to drink up, take a breather before we kickstart the engine again. So what's at the top of Doi Tong is this Mei Fa Luang Garden, which is 10 acres of land that is filled with beautifully manicured temperate flowers. So just to share an interesting story behind this Mei Fa Luang Garden, it's actually founded by Her Royal Highness Princess Mother, who has the idea of coming up with this beautiful garden to allow Thais who do not have the luxury to travel overseas come here to view all these temperate flowers that they get to see when they travel. So this is us posing behind the huge flowers. And there is the royal villa at the top. So sometimes the princess will come there to take a break, but it's open to general public to have a look It's like a museum. So we were there in our cycling tights, right? So they made us wear these red pants because I think tights are too sexy for them. So it reminded us of like traveling back to the 70s. Okay, the second reason why I enjoy this trip so much is because of the delicious local meals that we have. Every meal is authentic Thai, Northern Thai cuisine. Every meal we have a wide variety, and not only just the variety of the meals, where we eat it is also so interesting. Like this eatery that you see, is actually in the middle of nowhere. We just exited a tea plantation and we came across this. So surrounding this eatery, right, is all just farms and no high-rise buildings, no nothing, all surrounded by nature. It's a very rustic eatery, very like old school, really enjoyable. Everything in the menu, everything is in Thai. So if you don't understand Thai, you will not be able to order anything at all. I had the most delicious bowl of noodles, and I don't see this being served anywhere else when I was in the town of Chiang Rai. We had a lunch prepared for us at a local's home. Is what you see here is actually a buffet, somewhat a buffet of northern Thai noodles. So we get to choose the condiments we want together with the noodles, and then add on the broth, which is on the right hand side of the screen. So of course, with the noodles, they also prepared lots of various side dishes for us, like the northern Thai sausage, the northern Thai curry, which is delicious, fresh cut fruits and vegetables. We were so full, we told ourselves we really have to cycle it off. So the third reason why I enjoy this trip so much, and I think you enjoy it too, is because of the unique cafe stops. Chiang Rai is known to produce some of the best coffee beans in the world. And so it's not surprising to see cafes all over the town of Chiang Rai. But what's surprising for me is that actually on this trip, I saw so many unique cafes that is in the middle of nowhere. So that is what is really special, because like this cafe that you see here in this as the backdrop, right? When we reached there, we were told by our cycling lead, okay, we are reaching the cafe. So we are still cycling. I was like, it's still like somewhat like a Ulu industrial area, right? Where is the cafe? Next thing you know, we make a turn, and then the cafe is there. And we see there's a lot of locals visiting it as well. They actually will bother to drive from town out here to have their coffee because it's really good, the coffee and the pastry. So this is the interior of the cafe. But why sit indoors when you can have it outdoors, which is what our cyclists did, enjoying our cup of coffee, tea, and cake out in the nice late afternoon weather. So the second cafe that we went to, which is really interesting, is this Ryokan Cafe. It's as a Japanese theme. Same thing in the middle of nowhere. There are residential houses nearby, and in front of the cafe is a huge paddy field. But it's not the typical tourist area, and there's no one there except for us and a few locals. So because it's Japanese theme, right? So definitely there will be a few cute Japanese statues around, like Totoro, Doraemon, for us to take pictures. And I'm not too sure if you see something familiar here. We were just exploring around the cafe, and then we chanced upon a familiar figure of Merlion, which is so strange. And cafe is not only just about coffee, right? At least for me, I would think tea also will make it into my category of cafe. So we actually stopped by this Thai tea, Suriron. It's an organic tea farm. And the moment we step in, the smell of the osmanthus tea is so fragrant. And it really is like natural perfume. So we had a tea tasting. We tried the black tea, the oolong tea. And located in this tea farm is a very, very cute little teapot building. Perfect for pictures. So as what I was saying earlier on, about the cafes being in the middle of nowhere. This is one cafe we dropped by that is in the middle of a paddy field. Really, it's in the village of Pan, so it's off the grid, not in Chiang Rai town at all. And we were cycling, and in the paddy field, there's a nice cafe that is built there. As you can see from this outdoor seating picture, unfortunately, when we went there, they just harvested the rice. If not, right, you will be able to see the full paddy field, maybe with the golden rice crop before it got harvested. This is my favorite cafe when I was there, and it's so unique because it's located at the border of Thailand and Myanmar. So when I took this picture, I'm in Thailand, but the scenery in front is that of Myanmar. So you must be wondering, cafe at a border, are you serious? Yes, I'm not kidding. So here is a very rustic pop-up cafe that is managed by the military. So whichever coffee, tea, water that you purchase, they will prepare it for you on the spot by the military men. Do you see this image? This beautiful scenery in front? I'm not too sure if you can see the fence at the foreground. So this fence, right, is actually, it marks the borderline between Thailand and Myanmar. So look at that scenery. It's breathtaking, right? So imagine having your cup of coffee, tea, sitting down, just enjoying being in the moment as we appreciate the scenery in front of us. The last cafe that we went to is actually part of our coffee appreciation workshop. We dropped by this residential area that is quite close to town, but it's still very quiet. There's suburbs area. So we were wondering how come we were there. Are we visiting someone's home? Then suddenly we stopped our bike right in front of this cafe that really, if you cycle past, you would not even pay attention to it. So I was just exploring around, taking photos. And this is like the back, the side of the building. So I was there, right? Then I realized, do you see the grass patch on the left? That's when I realized that belongs to his neighbors. So it's another person's property, and I was trespassing. So the interior of the cafe is very retro, very cute, very fitting of the Thai theme. And we have a coffee appreciation workshop here. So we get to test different types of coffee, understand how the different roasting methods will affect the taste, the color of the coffee. And each time round, as the cafe owner goes through, he will let us sample the coffee to taste it for ourselves, the real difference. Okay, so there I am. I'm very happy to share all my trip experiences. Now I'm happy to take on any Q&A that you may have.
So now on to our second cycling trip, and this time is to Taiwan. This is a 6-day trip that is suitable for beginners. On this trip, there are 3 reasons why you should consider this as one of your perhaps first overseas cycling trip. Let's talk about the first one. On this itinerary is planned with a lot of cycling on bike path and bike lanes. Your cycling journey will start from Dongshan Railway Station in Yilan. And then the first bike path you will embark on is the Dongshan Riverside Bike Path. So along the way, you will cycle besides the river, and you will see a lot of greeneries. And because the cycling are planned during the weekdays, so you can have a very enjoyable time on the bike path, but without the crowds. And you will also cycle past a lot of villages and plantations, paddy fields, because Yilan is famous for agriculture. Like what you can see here, there are hardly any people to jostle the bike path with you, and you do not have a lot of high-rise building. Only occasionally you see some buildings popping up here and there. Other than that, you have the paddy fields to accompany you along the journey. The next interesting ride is to take the Fulong Old Caoling Tunnel. This used to be an old railway track which the commuter trains will run into. They only retire the track until the new highway is built. So instead of leaving it unused, the government has decided to turn this into a cycling path. So as you see on the ground, that depicts the railway track in the olden times. And very interestingly, the minute you enter into the tunnel, throughout the whole tunnel, the temperature is kept to around 17 to 18 degrees throughout the entire tunnel. You will feel a chill, but it is not cold, and it makes the rides very enjoyable. And the tunnel is lit up, so you do not have to worry if your bike is not equipped with any front lights. Then as you exit the tunnel, what is going to front you along the rest of the journey is the Pacific Ocean coast. Along the way, you will be riding beside the road, but on a dedicated bike lanes. And as you ride, you will have the Pacific Ocean on your left-hand side. And then as it is a coastal road, there are some gentle undulations, not very difficult. As long as you are a regular cyclist in Singapore, you will be able to do it. As I said before, this trip is planned for the beginner cyclist in mind. Then also, we will head back into the city to do some urban rides on their bike path. As you get into the city, you will see more buildings and the bike paths are more better maintained. As you ride along, you will pass by a lot of buildings such as temples, residential estates. Then you also have the Tanshui River along the way. So there is a very good mixture of mountain views and city views. Then as you get closer to the city or closer to Tanshui, you'll see more buildings and also the railway tracks, the commuter railway tracks. This is already in Tanshui, which we are probably about just another 10 kilometers. So we start to see a lot of residential buildings and a lot of residents coming down to the bike path, to the parks to do their exercise. And then you also start to see even more cyclists compared to when you are cycling out in the countryside. So as much as we covered the cycling journeys on this trip on bike path and bike lanes, there is about a 10% road cycling. But I can assure you the roads in the countryside are also fairly quiet, which you only have the occasional vehicles that comes along beside you. The second reason on this itinerary is the coast and the countryside. So the coast is the Pacific coast, as mentioned earlier on. So along the way, you will see a lot of scenic views, and you will make a lot of stops along the way. Not only that, you will see a lot of other cyclists, a lot of other hikers also to take photographs. So even though the coastal route is a little bit of undulation, you will not really realize it or feels that you are very tired, because every few kilometers you will stop at some scenic spots to take pictures and photograph. Okay, and then if you are lucky, you may also witness the crashing wave onto the bike path. But in order for this to happen, it also means that the wind is very strong. So there is no best of both worlds. You will have to decide whether you want the crashing wave, that means you have the wind, or you are just comfortable to go with the calming ocean. Okay. Then you also pass by some of the beaches. One of them is the Jingguashi. At this place here, we are supposed to see the ocean or the sea in two colors. Okay, because it's the joining of two different beaches that you will see two significant color of the water here. But on that day when we are doing cycling on this path, it has rained earlier on. Hence, we are not able to witness the natural phenomenon. Then the next one is the countryside. This trip, most of the cycling are planned in Yilan, which is an agriculture province. So as we cycle on the bike path, we see a lot of paddy fields and a lot of farming fields. This is the paddy fields which the farmers has just planted about a month ago. And then a lot of the farmers will build their house on their own land within the plantations or within the paddy fields. So as you go along, you will see a lot of individual owned pretty houses along the way. And some of the plantation owners actually turn some of the room into mingsu. Then if you are lucky, you may visit some of the plantations where their harvest is ready for harvesting. This is a cabbage, and we also see chilies and tomatoes, especially during the month of during the season of spring. Their cherry tomatoes is very sweet. Then as you are cycling along the rivers, you will also be able to admire some of the wall painting along the way, as you seen here, and come to the parks where there are hardly any crowds. So we can have breaks, even we can do a picnic lunch when we are at the parks. Okay, this is the other bike path along the river, and there are really hardly any cyclists. So all of us can really cycle in peace at a leisure pace and stop whenever you want to take pictures without having worry of knocking into one another. Okay. This is one of the village that we rode past. And then even when we get into the city, you will have a mix of tranquility within the urbanized towns. So the third reason about this trip is there is a lot of mixture of nature and urban sites. Okay. As you've seen earlier on, you will be cycling along the coast. So there are a lot of scenic spots that you can stop to take lots of pictures. Okay. One of the highlights is a walk up to Jiao Lighthouse. It is not a very difficult walk on gentle steps. There is also another option which you can choose is to cycle up to the lighthouse. But unfortunately, all of us think that our skills are not so good, so we decided to walk up instead of cycle up. So as you got up to the top, you will have this it's something like their weather station, and then the lighthouse. So we will stay there for a while. You can enjoy and take pictures, and also to marvel the view of the Pacific Ocean. As we reached the top of the lighthouse, the rain began to come. So we didn't really able to take nice pictures, but you can see with your eyes. Then again, on this journey, you will be able to stop by some of the very old traditional eating house, which is known as like their 便当 shop, because this place or this journey used to be the railway tracks. So a lot of the small villages will have shops like this where the commuters can buy a takeaway lunch box. So we make a lunch stop at this place and enjoy a 便当 to see how is it like in the olden days. Another highlight of the trip is a visit to this whiskey distillery known as King Car. This whiskey is famous in Taiwan as well as the rest of the world because the water they use to distill the whiskey is the spring waters from the mountain. You will enjoy a whiskey tasting. There are about 2 to 3 types of whiskey that you will be offered to try on. And then after that, they have an ice cream parlor, which you can purchase an ice cream and try it. And of course, I must try the whiskey ice cream. You have that hint of whiskey taste in the ice cream, but it will not make you drunk. Another highlight is a visit to the Yilan train station, known as Yilan 车站. And the surrounding of the train station is very pretty and done up in a cartoonized way. And the inspiration comes from one of their cartoon artists known as Jimmy. So as we walk around the town of Yilan 车站, you can take a lot of pictures of his cartoon that are done up around the area. So for some of you may be familiar with the movie 向左走,向右走. So the inspiration comes from his cartoons, and they actually done up a lot of the cartoon statues in the park here, and then we have some great fun taking photographs. I would like to ask the audience, what's wrong with this picture? Put it in the comments and let me know. Okay. Then we talk about urban sites. So as we go into the urbanized area, we will start to see a lot of buildings, such as the residential estate. And then there will be more people in the parks and also more cyclists. So that is all about Scenic Taiwan.
Two cartoons is facing a different direction.
Yes. Yeah.
So who's wrong?
After taking this photo, then we realized the mistake.
Okay.
Because in Singapore, we are on left-hand drive or left-hand side of the road. So we will always look onto the right-hand side.
Oh.
Whereas in Taiwan, it's on the right-hand side, so they will always look onto the left.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So after the photo is taken, then our lead asks, 为什么你们看的方向是不一样的? We still didn't get it when he said that. Until about a minute later, we realized, oh yeah, we are actually looking at the wrong direction, and it gave us away that we are not Taiwanese.
Okay, next up, I'm excited to share with everybody my experience on the roof of Indochina Nature Appreciation Hike, which is the hike up Mount Fansipan that I did last year. So what makes this trip so unique and memorable for me is firstly the fantastic hiking journey, followed by the unique dining experience, and there's ample time during the trip for appreciation. So first up, I'm going to talk about the fantastic hiking journey. As you can see in this photo, we are all covered from head to toe in our raincoat. So why do I say that it's a fantastic hiking journey? You will see in time to come. But when we first started out the hike, we were a bit apprehensive and worried because the morning there was a huge thunderstorm. And as you know, when we are outdoors hiking, right, the last thing we want is for it to rain because we will be hiking in very uncomfortable circumstances, and also at the same time our safety might be compromised. So when we started the hike, just when we were at the base camp about to start the hike, we got the green light. The water, the subsided to a light drizzle. So we continued with our hike. This is just at the beginning when we started. Already we have fantastic scenery as we were going. And not long later, the sun came out. So once the sun is out, our clothes came off. So our jacket, all that is not required anymore. We were able to hike in our comfortable attire. And just only about half an hour into the hike, we came to our first viewpoint. So you can see, when we saw this viewpoint, it's so rewarding. It's like little tidbits to keep you going. And definitely it's a great spot for photo taking. This hike is very interesting too because there's a lot of different elements that went into the hiking journey. We have a ladder climb. We also climb a lot of man-made stairs and natural stairs. Just to show a little bit more photos of our hike journey. So this is us climbing up a few more of those man-made natural stairs. But of course, it's not only just all elevation. There are flat grounds also for us to admire the surroundings. And we had a river crossing, so there's a lot of little fun elements, different elements throughout the whole hiking journey. We also went on this boardwalk, which I was quite surprised. It reminds me a little bit like MacRitchie in the middle of the mountain. We did this walk alongside the river. This is us hiking on a different terrain. So we are so lucky. As you can see, I was saying earlier that it was raining, right? But if you can see from this picture, the grounds are dry, maybe because it's of a higher elevation. So in terms of humidity, the air, the grounds dried up earlier, faster. And we were so surprised to see this wild buffalo that greeted us, our wild friend. So this photo seems very close up, but that's because we zoom all the way in. Just a even closer picture of our friend. Isn't he handsome? Very handsome, huh? I was telling my friends that, hey, I found my boyfriend up at Mount Fansipan. Okay, this image that you see here, I don't know whether you can see the small little speck in the middle of the steps. That's actually our first group of hikers who were slightly a bit faster. So they were ahead, sitting on the steps, waiting for us to join them. And I spotted them from far and asked them to, hey, I waved at them, asked them to pose while I take a photo. So it's quite amazing that even though we're so far apart, we can communicate through hand signals. So, okay, you can see there's the blue steps. So it's quite common to, as part of this hiking journey, there's quite a lot of these blue steps. Some parts of it are very steep, almost like a 90-degree vertical climb. So you really do need to train up so that you can enjoy the hike and the stairs climbing, and you'll not be so chuan. But another reason why this hike is very breathtaking for me is because when I turned around to take a break, I was greeted with this sight. I was like, wow, my God, I was so focused on climbing the stairs. I didn't realize that I'm surrounded with such natural beauty all over. And different sections of the hike as I climb, I turn around, there's a different scenery greeting me. I was like, and we are so lucky because the weather cleared up. We see the valley, the mountain range. If not, if it's wet weather, we will not be able to appreciate this lovely view. The last stretch of the hike is actually where we get back to semi-civilization, because once we reach almost to the summit, is actually where all the day trippers, we see the cable car tower. So all the day trippers who took the cable car up, we cross paths with them. So in this picture, if you can see the gentleman in black, he's actually clapping and encouraging us as we climb up the last portion of the hike. So a lot of them will be wondering at the back of their mind, like, this group of people are crazy. It took us 1.5 days to climb up, and for them, it's like just a simple cable car ride up. This is a picture I've taken from the top down to show you how steep the stairs are. So even though now we have proper steps, right, it's not easy as well. In fact, it's almost as tough as what we experience in the mountains because it's very steep. And this is us at the summit of Mount Fansipan, standing at 3,143 meters above sea level. So we are all very happy. We made it to the summit. We made it together as a team, and then we made it safely as well. Now, we know that going down will be, if we hike down, it will be via the same terrain. So that means to say we'll actually be going through the same experience. So instead, we actually booked a cable car for the descent down. And through the cable car ride, we get to see another view, and it's a totally different experience. So the cable car ride down to the base is only 25 minutes. And this is the view that caught our attention when we were on the cable car. It's so beautiful. We see all the various rice terraces surrounding Sapa. And we know that Sapa is very well known for their rice terrace. In fact, it's always on every postcard that you see of Sapa. This view of the rice terrace, right, is just taken with my phone when we were taking the transport to Sapa from Hanoi. So it's because of all these lovely views, right, that inspire us to come up with the package, which is the Track the Golden Fields of Sapa, which was supposed to be happening this September, but we will postpone it to next September instead. So as a reward for our hike, we were given a certificate of completion as well as a medal. I've never been so happy to receive a medal. And we were rewarded with an after hike relaxation of foot massage. Okay, the second reason why this hike is so memorable is because of the unique dining experience. So on this trip, we did not include a lot of meals. Daily breakfast is provided for. Then during the hike, we include lunch, dinner, and breakfast. So the other parts of the meals during the trip, we leave it to our hikers to decide, own time, own target. They can eat according to their own preferences. So this picture that you see is actually our lunch venue during the hike itself. So this is us enjoying a simple lunch of French baguette, or shall I say Vietnamese baguette, with spam, cucumber. They give us milk, cheese, calcium, lots of calcium. And then we had bananas and the fruit that's in season, which is peach. And their peach is very interesting. It's very crunchy, almost like an apple texture. So this is us enjoying our lunch, catching up, just getting to know one another more during the hike. Somehow when you're hiking, when you're going through the same journey together, that's when you open up with everybody, you share a little bit more of yourself. So I took this picture at the lunch venue, and I've been wondering and wondering, where does this door lead to? Until now, I have no idea. Maybe in the next time, if you were to do the hike, you can let me know. So this is a picture of our dinner venue and our overnight stay. So, because hiking, we usually do not have much expectations when it comes to meals. And also when we were there, the dinner that we were served is a feast because everything is freshly cooked, warmly presented to us. And torchlight dinner, anyone? So out in the mountains, we don't have candlelight, we have torchlight instead. So all of us were digging into happily taking photos first of our meal. Some habits will still have to maintain the same wherever we are. And then we dig into our freshly, warmly prepared meal of soup, vegetables, there's meat, there's tofu, and rice. The next morning, when we had our breakfast was a warm bowl of noodles and coffee or tea. Okay, another thing I like about this trip is there's ample time for appreciation. Many times when we go on a holiday, we don't realize that not everybody can afford to go on a holiday. It's actually a luxury in itself. So a lot of times when we go overseas, right, we are always rushing to do this, rushing to do that, making use of the time that we have. But how many times have we slowed down our footsteps to really appreciate the local culture? When maybe it's another city, even if it's another city, different cities have different experiences that they provide. So for this trip, right, we plan it in such a way that there's ample time for appreciation. We are not just rushing to do the hike and then rushing back to come back to Singapore. So we allocated enough time for us to explore the town of Hanoi and Sapa. So this is a picture taken by myself, and at the background is of this entrance of the lake in Hanoi. And I also had time to visit a local coffee place to enjoy the Hanoi egg coffee. And definitely when you're there, you have the experience sitting on those small little stools, small little tables, the Vietnamese style. And our hikers had the chance to go around exploring because we stayed in the old quarters. So it's a lot of very unique sights and smells that we see. So our hikers got go around snapping pictures of the daily life, like this local lady selling the fruits probably from her farm. And of course, some of our members, they had a friendship induction night through beer. And when we reached Sapa, we were there in the late afternoon, so we had time to slow down and explore the town. It's very unique. You see the buildings there is not the very typical Vietnamese style, very European. So we some of us took a walk to Sapa Lake to snap pictures. It's very quiet when you slow down to appreciate the surroundings. And this is the Sapa Town Square. And I even have time to be surrounded by the local girls and boys selling their bracelets that they handmade themselves. You know, when I was there, I made a mistake of looking into the eyes of one of the girls, and her innocent big eyes was like telling me, support me, buy from me. Then okay lah, buy from you lor. Next thing I know, wow, the whole kampong came after me. So I had to ask my partner at the time, Angeline, to come and save me from them. So after the hike, you know, when we get back to Hanoi, we still have time. We arrived in the late afternoon. So between that to the next day when we depart, according to our flight timing, we have lots of time to continue to explore Hanoi. So this is Susan, our hiker, who wasted no time. She went around taking very interesting photos of Hanoi, like the old retro motorbikes. We are like asking her, wow, where do you find all these bikes? You know, so amazing. She just knows how to find her way through. And then some of them shop for local produce. Hanoi is well known for their cashew nuts. And I think these are some condiments that were snapped by our hikers as well when they were exploring the various streets of Hanoi. Definitely, when you go there, you must not miss out on the street food, which is what some of them did after the hike. And the last thing about what makes this whole trip so memorable is the amazing local support that we have. So in this photo that you see is there is our hikers as well as the local porters and our hiking lead, who is the gentleman wearing the blue cap in blue jacket. So they are there with us throughout the whole entire journey. Of course, when we hike, right, there were bound to be some hikers who have maybe better stamina, who could go faster, and then some hikers who could not keep up and maybe have to slow down their pace a little bit, either maybe because they had some prior injuries. So what we did is with this amazing local support, right, we can actually split our group up while still keeping a close range with one another. So we are always in constant communication. They are always encouraging us that we can do it just a little bit more. Every time you hike, you always hear just a little bit more, you'll be there. One thing is with the local people, they of course we cannot communicate because we don't share the same language. But their warm, reassuring smile is enough to tell us that okay, we are almost there, to keep us going, to keep us motivated. And the company that we work with for our hike, you know, that provide this local support, all the monies that we pay, part of it will go towards the education of the people in the town of Sapa, to educate the children to learn English, so that next time when they grow up, you know, they can hold jobs to help to bring in the tourism to Sapa industry. Okay, so I've come to the end of my part of the presentation. Happy to take on any questions.
Okay, so as I said, this is the best trip for anyone who is looking for physical distancing. We will go on to find out why. This is a 6-day program on land of Genghis Khan right, simply Mongolia. The 3 reasons why this trip is so memorable to me is first, the grassland, the Mongolian steppe. Second is the freestyle cycling, and third is the girl camp stay. Okay. First, we'll come and talk about what's so fascinating about the grassland. Okay. Before I go on here, we share a little bit story here. When this trip was put up, the first person who signed up was Priscilla, because she just want to go to Mongolia because it sounds so cool. Then again, we have some of the cyclists who are sitting on the fence, mainly because they say that, what's there to see in Mongolia? All grass, what? Nothing to see, what? But eventually, they all got kaju here and there, and then eventually they signed up. Okay, so we talk about Mongolian steppe, the grassland. Is it really all about just grass? Not really, because more than 250 days in a year in Mongolia is all about blue skies and sunny weather, just like you can see from this picture here. So while we are there, as far as your eyes can see, it's all Mongolian steppes, and there are hardly any people. Okay. In Mongolia, there are only 3 million, 3 or 5 million, I cannot remember here, 3 to 5 million of human population. But there are 50 million of livestock. So on this journey, we not only see a lot of Mongolian steppes, the mountain-like of grasslands, we also get to see a lot of animals, or like the Mongolian put it, livestock. What fascinated me the most is the horses. I have never seen so many horses roaming around freely in a vast space. And when they start trotting around, running around, when you hear the stallions romping, that sound is just so amazing. Okay, this picture was taken just before the horses realized that there are some human beings around them. Okay, and then they start to trot away immediately. Then there are also a lot of cows, which I find them very familiar to the Swiss cows. But the Mongolian cows are more hairy. That's what I discovered. And I concluded that maybe because of the extremes weather in Mongolian, because comes winter, the temperature can drop to as much as minus 40 degrees or even minus 60 degrees Celsius during the harsh winters. So somehow or rather, the animals there will adapt, and then they are more hairy just to protect themselves with more warmth during the winters. Okay. There are so many animals that we have seen and taken so many photos of them until a while I realized that, am I admiring the livestock, or the livestock are actually admiring us? Then also another kind of livestock that they have a lot there is the sheep or the goats. Plenty and plenty of them. And at any time, if you see a herd of them, it can be several hundreds of sheep. And a lot of time, they are looked after by shepherds. We met this pair of shepherds that is herding their livestock, as you can see from the background, like a little bit of white dots here and there. Those are their livestock. And easily, these two boys, these two 12 years old boys, are herding several thousands of livestock. So some of our cyclists are mummies which has kids of almost similar age. So somehow there are a lot of emotional feelings in here when they look at 12-year-old Mongolian boys having to come here and manage their livestock to make a living, whereas a lot of our similar age of kids back home, what they have been doing. So we have a pretty interesting discussion while we cajole the two boys to take photo with us. Then we also have an opportunity to visit a nomad family, a real nomad family that live on the Mongolian steppes. Okay, this is how their camp look like, and it's entirely their house. What you see here, right in front of us, is their TV screen, just like a living room, and then with a dining table in the middle. Then their bedroom is tucked away at the side with two beds. And where I'm standing to take this picture, their kitchen is just behind me. And everything is enclosed in this girl camp, in this girl. Okay. And Mongolia is not just all about grassland. As we approach our third and fourth days of cycling, we came down to a lower altitude, and then we see tree and shrubs sprouting out, and also rivers. This is quite a surprise to many of us because we never expect to see such scenery in Mongolia. And as we cycle along, it bears I find that it bears a little bit of resemblance to Switzerland. And also during that time when we are there, although it's the summertime, there are a lot of meadows of flowers along the fields. So we had a good time going around, taking nice pictures, spending quite a lot of time here, enjoying ourselves. And then the next one, the benefits of cycling in Mongolia is the freestyle cycling. Most of the time, you will be cycling on path like this, and a lot of times they are hard gravels. Okay, so you are able to see path cutting across the grassland, and each different path will lead you to different places all around Mongolia. But there are no signages, so you have to be sure you are always be able to see your lead ahead of you in checks, so that you will not lose your way. Okay. It is not difficult to cycle on nature path like this because most of the routes that we cycle on are generally flat. And this itinerary is also specially designed for beginner cyclists. You don't have to be a mountain biker or a mountain cyclist to go on this journey. Okay. So as you cycle, you will see the livestock on your left or on your right and ahead of you. Okay. Sometimes we will cycle in a group like this, but sometimes we decided to spread it out because there are so many space. So you can go onto the parallel path that is about 2 to 3 meters away. And then as long as you can see the lead in front of you, you can just cycle anywhere you like. Okay. So this is what I meant by cycle anywhere you like. So at times when our lead decided to add a little bit of adventure to our route, he'll say, okay, so now we will head there. Then right in front of us, there is no path, there is no routes, but we will just diligently follow him. Okay, so you just cut across the Mongolian steppes anytime, anywhere. Okay, so just now Priscilla asked about physical distancing. This thing will not happen. Crowding will never happen in Mongolia. Throughout our 4 days of cycle, beside the 8 of us, 6 or 8 of us, we only managed to see another pair of foreigner cyclists into our 3rd day of our journeys. So other than that, besides the people at the girl camp every night, the nomad family that we met is just us and our Mongolian working team. Okay. So along the way, you can also stop wherever you want to take pictures. Nobody is going to hurry you. Like earlier we mentioned, we spend a lot of time taking nice pictures at the meadows. And then you will also visit some of the sacred sites along the way. And then you can just stop. There's no queue. There's no people. And then we can even take photo stops anywhere that we wanted. Such as breaks. As long as we are tired or someone who would like to take a break, we'll just stop, drop our bicycle, and lay down onto the grassland to enjoy the sun, to take a break, take some pictures. Similarly, we eat as we go. So we have our morning tea break, lunch break, according to where we stop. We have a mobile kitchen. Okay? This is our cook, the lady on the left. She's our cook that will follow us throughout our 4 days when we are out in the grassland. So what you see on the van here is her mobile kitchen. So before we arrive, she will already start to prepare hot water or to cook our lunch. Then we will come by, drop our bicycle, and enjoy our morning tea break or lunch out on the grassland. Then we also attempt a little bit of cycling on the roads. Not a lot of it. I would say that is probably just 5% of the entire cycling distances we done, just to have a little bit of a taste how is it like. And the road that we pick are on the quiet roads, so you can see there are hardly any cars. So after cycling on the grassland for a while, we realized that all of us can cycle very fast and very well on the road. We also had a little bit of adventure on the last day of our cycling, because we have already came down to lower altitude. So you will have rivers, we will have stream, and then our guide ingest a little bit of adventure to our cycling journeys, and then we have to do this little stream crossing, which caught us by surprise because the water is very cold. Although the temperature out there was like 23 23 degrees Celsius under the sun. And then as we step into the water, all of us was like, wow, screaming because the water is icy cold. But then again, there is no way you can go over to the other side of the stream without crossing it. So there we go. Then the last reason why I enjoy this trip so much is the girl camp stay. All in all, we stay in a total of 3 different camps. Okay, each is unique on its own. This is the first one that we stayed. Take a look at the interior of our camp. So most of the girls are equipped with either twin or triple rooms. And then you will always have a heating stove in the middle. There is no aircon. You will not ask for aircon because as the sun sets, it will start to get chilly. All you will ask for is heater. And then it's all natural heating. Okay. This is the bed. It actually comes with comforter, a pillow, and a very soft mattress. Okay. And then it also comes with a cute little dining table. All the Kerr camps are designed similar in terms of how the girl is arranged. If you remember how the nomad family girl arrangement is all similar. Okay. So as you look out, you see nothing but blue skies and the grassland. And then when night falls, because there are not a lot of lights, so you can see a lot of stars in the evening. So some of us spend some time enjoying the twinkle twinkle little stars, but you wouldn't stay out for too long because of the chilly evening. So it's nice and toasty to hide inside the camp. So the second girl camp that we go to is higher up in altitude, and it is designed to look like a 12th century girl camp out when the soldiers and the generals are out there going for war. The girl in the middle is known as the Khan's girl. And then there are another 3 on the left and 3 on the right called the generous girl camp. Then those you see on the extreme left and extreme right are the girl camps for the soldiers back in the olden days. Okay, so the Khan's camp is always much higher elevated. As you can see for the picture, it's about two sections higher up, or it will be the highest camp, highest girl in the entire camp area. So on this night, we actually stays in the general's camp. Okay, so this is how the Khan's camp look like, and it actually served as our dining area when we stayed there. And then this is the general camp. It doesn't look big when you look from the exterior, but once you enter, we all go, wow! It does look like a girl for some highly ranked general. Uh, So this girl can take 4 persons inside comfortably, which each of us have our own space. Take a closer look at the bed. It comes with a thick mattress um, with a blanket. And then as night falls, the owner will come in and bring out some leather and fur blankets if you need it. Otherwise, once the whole girl is heated up, you will find that it is very warm and toasty to enjoy the nights of rest. Okay, so after removing the top mattress, this is how the bed will look like. So when we are lying on the bed, we really feels like a general staying in here, and we could really imagine how it was like back in the olden days. You can also have a hand in archery. Our drivers will be around to teach us how to do some archery. Although we are not standing very far away from the target, to have the arrow to hit the target is actually not easy. It took us a few tries to do it. I don't remember I hit the target, but I reckon some of our cyclists actually done it, either Priscilla or Angeline. Then also inside the Khan's girl, you can dress up to be to take some photos. Okay, to put it this way. So some of us decided to dress up in their costume to take some photos with the hats on. So here you are looking at the pictures with our Khan sitting in the middle, 4 concubines on his left and right, and 2 generals standing behind him. So if costume dressing and archery is not for you, you may just walk around the entire camp to take pictures as the night falls. Okay, this is how the view of sunsets at the camp. Then the last one is much more simply furnished, but it is also still very much well equipped. Okay, the interior is much uh, lightly colored, decorated, closer to Scandinavia kind of furniture look like. And then also every night, someone will come to your girl and help you to light up the heater. To share a little bit of story, when we are at this girl camp, because it's our last night of stay out in the grassland, so we actually spend a longer evening chit-chatting, having more catch up among each other, getting to know each other better. So by the time when we go back to the girl, it's very chilly. So as I tuck into bed, I could hear commotion going on outside my girl, and I thought, what is happening? So apparently, some of our cyclists, because they thought that it is so cold, they throw too much firewood into the heat, into the burner, and the whole girl camp got so warm and heated up that they almost thought they are going to turn into fried chicken. So they have to run out of their girl to cool themselves down, to cool down the girl before they can go back to sleep. So that are some of the some things that we have learned. So this is how the interior looks like. It's so much more simply furnished compared to the other two that we have stayed. But each of them has its own unique design, and we thoroughly enjoyed the stay throughout any one of the camps. So I also like to have a special mention here that going to Mongolia, it is maybe a must. To me, it's a must to visit the statue of the Genghis Khan. It is not anywhere near Ulaanbaatar. It's a 2 hours journey away from the capital city. You are able to go up to the statue to where the horse head is. So when you are up there, you will see the majestic statue just right in front of you. And also you can have a good view of the grassland, the Mongolian steppe surrounding that area.
Okay, so for the trip that I did in South Korea Autumn Colors, the 3 reasons why this trip is so memorable to me is because number one, the dreamy autumn sceneries, number two, the wonderful cycling experience, and lastly, mouth-watering Korean cuisine. So during the trip, the whole theme of this cycling trip is autumn. So Korea is very well known for their autumn colors. It's very vibrant, and it's just so dreamy, sceneries, right? And then I was sharing that, because the scenery is so nice, when we were cycling through this park, we had to make a stop, and the ladies had to pose for a photo. So I'm presenting to you Singapore F4 ladies version. And then we enjoyed the scenery that we went through. Places, one scenery after another, looks like just out of a piece of painting. I look at this, the bridge, the reflection on the water, the mountain ranges in the back. And this picture captured by one of our cyclists of another bridge. I mean, it looks like a simple bridge, but because of the whole entire landscape, it elevates it, makes it so picturesque. Okay, this picture that you see here is taken at a random stop that we took to stretch our legs, have a drink. And we got Joanna and Adeline. I was like, hey, very nice, very nice. Okay, you all sit here, come pose for a photo. And turns out it's picture perfect. And when you're cycling, along all this beautiful scenery, right, you get to clear your mind because there's no distraction. We are out in the countryside. It's very peaceful when you're cycling on the bike path. There's no cars that you need to be wary of. So you can really clear your mind, appreciate being in the moment, appreciate the natural landscape that's around you. This picture is taken at the resort that we stayed in. So we stayed one night at a countryside resort, and when we were exiting the resort for our cycling journey for the day, right? It's so pretty that we say, hey, let's stop for a picture. We cannot just pass by without stopping. You'll not do it justice. All these photos that you see is taken just using my Samsung Note 8 photo without touch-up. And when we say there's no autumn colors, if there's no autumn colors up in the tree, you can see it down on the ground, like in this picture. So everywhere you go, you'll be surrounded by the lovely colors. And I'm very lucky. Our cyclist Long captured this nice image of me when I was cycling. But look at that fantastic autumn hues as the backdrop. Okay, just to share a story with you. Our ladies on the trip were very on. So when we were cycling, right, I saw this very nice landscape. I was like, hey, let's pose for a picture, shall we? And they each find a very nice, comfortable spot. So I'm presenting to you Singapore's girl band that it has not made its pre-debut in Korea, but soon to come in year 2021. But in reality, you might be asking, where are we? Actually, this picture that we taken, right, is by the roadside. So as I was saying, when we were cycling, I just saw, hey, very nice at the colors on the ground, and they all gamely pose, not giving care at all that we are just by a busy roadside. But that's the fun part about traveling. Sometimes it gets you out of your comfort zone. You're more willing to do some funny shots. And our poster girl, Alice, with our flag and autumn leaves. So we were cycling and we were exploring. The beauty about cycling in Korea or cycling in general is that not only do we visit like the usual tourist spots, we also get to go off the beaten track and discover hidden gems. Like this image that you see here, we were visiting a local attraction. Then with our bicycle, we still had some free time. We went out for exploration of the nearby region. And we actually went into this quiet cycling lane. And wow, the colors that presented to us is like magnificent on the trees everywhere. And that is where we took our signature shot, which became our poster shot for a lot of our Korea autumn cycling trip. So secondly, why this trip is so memorable for me is because of the wonderful cycling experience I had in South Korea. Okay, just to share a funny story about this picture first. As you can see, this image, you might find it a bit strange. This is actually the starting point of the cycling bike path in Korea that links all the way from Incheon to Busan. So you see here, right, we are at the start, but why does it say finish? Okay, that's because we actually wanted to take a photo right at the back of this plug, this semicircle plug, right? It's actually the starting, the word start. So we were posing for it, then we realized the sun is shining back down on us and we cannot see our face at all. So what's the point of taking photo if you cannot see our face? So you say, okay, never mind, we change the direction. Since we cannot change the sun where it's shining, right? We change ourselves. So we switch over to the other side so we can see all of us posing nicely. Never mind that it's stated finish instead of start. So as part of the cycling journey in Korea, you'll come across plenty of these small little red booths. They look like those telephone booths, but they are not. What they are is actually for you to chop. It's a stamping booth of the different pit stops along the various bike paths. So for you to collect those chops onto your cycling passport as seen here. And it is a very good souvenir to bring along to remember by, because as you cycle, right, after a while, you might forget where you have already covered, where you have been to. So with these stamps, when you reflect back, or you know, okay, I already covered this path, this particular checkpoint, and it's a legit cycling passport, because if you collected all the stamps, you can actually exchange it for a certificate from the Korea Cycling Federation. As you cycle in Korea on this trip, everywhere we go is on designated cycling tracks. Almost 99% of the time is on designated cycling tracks. So on these tracks, you cycle, there is no distractions. We also cycle through fun cycling course, like through the tunnels. And you see, even this tunnel itself is designed for pedestrians and cyclists. That's why the lanes are very tight and small. And it's very enjoyable because you don't need to worry, about coming across traffic and all that. And when we are out here, because it's the countryside, it's very quiet. There's hardly anybody around. And along the route, we have also come across mini obstacle course like this. So this cycling track, right, when the water is high tide, it will be partly submerged. So for those of us, when we were there, it was submerged and we didn't want to get wet. So what we did is we just pushed our bike across the elevated platform that you see on the left-hand side. So it's very fun, it's not just, there's a little bit of obstacles here and there to make it more interesting. And as we cycle, we always have lovely scenery as our companion, whichever part of the bike path we go on. This is our cyclist, Wendy. Look at that landscape behind her. Another beautiful landscape as you cycle through. So as you cycle and you admire the scenery, you can, in a way, let your mind go and then start to think, start to be more mindful of being in the moment. This photo here is actually to show you that we had a little bit of road cycling, but the road cycling that we did is on quiet country roads, so there's hardly a vehicle around. So when we were cycling, there's no people, no vehicle, occasional motorbikes here and there. But sometimes when we hear a car approaching, so we just tell everybody, okay, keep to the side, vehicle coming. But that is like once in a blue moon. Okay, the third reason why this trip is so memorable for me is because of all the mouth-watering Korean cuisine that we get to taste. Each meal that we had is different, so that we get to showcase the different authentic Korean cuisine to everyone in the group. At the same time, we also dine because our group size are kept very small. So we dine at local eateries that only the locals visit. It's not the usual tourist restaurants where you have hundreds of people cramping in one area. So when we're there, we had our Korean barbecue. Somehow Korean barbecue tastes so much better when you're in Korea. And our Korean barbecue also comes with lots of various side dishes like the kimchi stew, free flow of vegetables, which you can help yourself to. We had a spicy pork rice dish, very popular there in Korea, as well as a beef stew. So for meals where we serve single items, right, we will usually give you 2 or 3 options to choose from. So it's not, you're not just stuck with one option during that meal. This is us having our lunch stop. So this lunch stop is a very small local eatery along the bicycle path. So we see a lot of cyclists, local cyclists stopping by to have a quick lunch, and then off they go, continuing their cycling journey. So here we had this bowl of, actually it's cold noodles, spicy cold noodles, but it's not very spicy. And we also have warm noodles for those who prefer something hot. Because we was in autumn time, right? So the weather at night, it was nice and chilly. So we decided to have a open pit barbecue. And we asked our cyclists, anybody who wanted to warm themselves up, they can help to volunteer to barbecue. And this is us enjoying that meal in our local homestay. Look at all the other side dishes that came along with the barbecue. At the breakfast time, the homestay Ajuma prepared warm breakfast for us. It's a very typical Korean breakfast that comes with rice, hot kimchi, various kinds of kimchi, and stir-fried vegetables. We had a kimbap making experience during the stay at Ajuma's place. So during this kimbap making experience, we made our own kimbap. So the gentleman that you see here in blue, he's long. He's the only thorn among the roses for this trip. So we made our own kimbap, and then we packed it up and brought it along. And when we made our pit stop, our rest stops, right, that's where we fuel up on the kimbap. We had hot pot during the trip. So this hot pot is perfect for autumn. Look at the amount of fresh vegetables there is and the amount of meat. We had dinner at this chicken street in Chuncheon province. So this is a very local Korean dish called dak galbi, which is Korean spicy chicken stir fry. So just to share a funny story about this, when we were at the restaurant, I think it's very typical Korean restaurant, right? So same thing, we are the only non-Koreans there. And then we were all very excited, wanting to have a go at frying the dish, And then the shop assistant who was serving us, I think she got pretty annoyed by us because we are like, I think there's a specific way to cook the dish. And then because we wanted to try, so she's like, give us a sour face. Then after a while, we're like, okay, we better not touch her dish, let her do her thing. Yeah, but it's very delicious. And I think, we get to experience this because it's not the usual, this experience itself, right, though like not very pleasant at first, but when you reflect back on it, it's also very funny because it really shows like how the local Koreans will react to certain situations. Not trying to be friendly to you just because you're a tourist. So this is us smiling before we enjoyed the meal, and I think before she gave us the sour face. We had, when you're in Korea, definitely you have to try their ginseng chicken. But and we also had a chance to try it. But the dish that we tried, right, is somewhat different from the usual ginseng chicken meal that we have, because this soup base is made out of green bean, and it looks like porridge on screen, right? But it's actually the green bean paste that is grinded so finely. When you drink it, it just gulps down like pure bliss, especially in cold weather. So the taste is very light. You cannot really taste the ginseng also. So this dish is very much welcomed by the ladies, because after the past few days of eating like very heavy Korean meals, right? Once in a while we have a light meal, it's very welcome. But of course, no dish is not complete without all the Korean side dishes that comes along with it. And our last night in Korea, we had this farewell dinner where we had pork, a dish of pork collagen. Then there is a soba, refreshing soba salad, and a pot of pork collagen soup, which is very tasty. And I think the next picture will summarize how delicious this meal is. This is our cyclist Angeline enjoying every last bit of the dish. And because I'm the last speaker for tonight, I'm going to show everybody else a bonus snippet of our cherry blossom ride. So I'm just going to show a couple of slides to show you what's the main difference between our cherry blossom ride and also our autumn ride. So the first one, the main difference is we include a temple stay for our cherry blossom ride. This photo that you see here is taken by myself at the entrance of the temple. The Chinese character states 都放下, which means letting go of your inhibitions, your negative thoughts, your sins, and then as you step into the temple, go in it with an open mind. So these are pictures taken when I was doing a walk around the premises of the temple. As you can see, it's surrounded by mountain, by nature. It's very quiet, very peaceful. Early in the morning, the sun rises very early at about 5. It sets quite early too, around 6. So if you're an early riser, you can take a walk around the premises, basking the fresh mountain air. We throw in a yoga experience during the temple stay. So this is perfect for us to stretch out our stiff joints, aches in our bodies from all the ride that we had done earlier on. We had a bead making temple experience as well. So this whole experience teaches us about patience. At the same time, with each bead is the well wishes we have for our family and friends and loved ones. This picture here is the communal dining hall inside the temple, and we had one of the best vegetarian spread prepared to us by the kitchen staff. So you see here, it's prepared freshly every day. The only thing that the temple asks us to do is just to take what we can finish. Do not waste any food. So what we usually advise is the first round, you can take a little bit of everything to have a good sample of it. And then after that, if you really enjoy a particular dish, you can help yourself to the second round. Just showing this picture again, because I cannot get it out of my mind. It's so lovely. This is the view of how this scenery is like during springtime versus earlier on when it's autumn. Okay, on the cherry blossom ride, we are also cycling on the designated cycling path, but we mix it up a little bit here and there. So this picture here you see is a designated cycling path alongside rows and rows of cherry blossom trees. This is us, owning the track since there's nobody around. But of course, when we have people coming, we will keep to the side for them. Okay. At the same time, we also include a lot of the cycling track kind of cycling where we go onto the roads. So here you see this massive, huge strip of land. We are wondering what is it used for, because it's so huge. It can actually be like an airstrip, but we don't see any planes around. So we have fun just zooming around here and there without any care. Occasionally, there will be 1 or 2 cars coming along. Then we will just keep to the side to keep out of the way. We also cycle on shared pedestrian walkways, like boardwalks such as these. designated bridges for cyclists as well as for pedestrians, and the tunnel cycling, which is really fun. Okay, so I've come to the end of my sharing session for South Korea.
Over the
Yes,
weekend?
correct. So tomorrow at 10:30 a.m., please join us as we do a fun HIIT workout with Miss JJ Fu. This workout is actually arranged to help to raise awareness for Guide Dog Singapore and also to help to raise funds for them. And on Sunday at 3 p.m., we'll be coming on Facebook Live as we have some stock cycling just apparels and accessories, active outdoor accessories that we would like to showcase to everybody. So if you're interested, please do tune in at 3 p.m. on Sunday on our Facebook Live.
Yes, do also share with your outdoor friends if any one of them are interested to get some of the stuff that we are going to showcase.
Yeah, just a snippet. We'll be promoting the socks, our hiking socks. In this snip, we'll have our cycling cap, our active arm sleeve, our active sports tights, and our cycling active jersey.
Yes. So anyone who is keen, please tune in on Saturday. We hope this week the weather will get better, because if you remember last weekend, we are probably most of us are coping at home because we had rain for consecutively for about 4 5 days in the morning.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So I think we shall go offline now because it's getting late. It's coming to 11 o'clock.
So we will try our best to stick to the timing.
But it always never happens.
Okay, thank you all so much for joining us
Thank you.
tonight. So have
Thank
a
you very
lovely
much.
weekend ahead, and then hope to see you live this weekend as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
hope to see you. Good
Okay,
night.
good night,
Bye.
everybody. Bye.